Bassirou Diomaye Faye, the newly appointed leader of Senegal, took office promising to rebuild the nation and implement structural reform. 44-year-old Faye is Africa's youngest elected president, having risen swiftly from political prison to the presidency. To ease the worries of Senegalese youth regarding high rates of unemployment and the influence of former colonial master France, Faye ran on a platform of eliminating corruption and strengthening the nation's management of its natural resources. His election victory has been seen by many as an indication of the people's will and yearning for change. In relation to Faye's promises to rebuild the nation and implement structural reform, the United States has given the Senegalese military 30 military and regular utility vehicles. This donation is seen as a ploy by Washington to entice the new authorities in Dakar to join its ranks. The United States, which is aggressively trying to stamp its authority on the African continent amidst the growing resentment against Western powers, especially in West Africa, as well as competition from Africa's more favorable partners like China and Russia, donated the vehicles on Friday, May 10, 2024 for them to be used by the Senegalese forces during their training and other military operations. By giving tactical training centers access to a sizable fleet of 30 vehicles, the United States of America once again shows its unique bond with Senegal and its unwavering ambitions for the Senegalese army. The United States deeply appreciated the service and sacrifices the Senegalese armed forces have made for over 60 years. They are always upholding the highest standards of professionalism while accomplishing the most challenging tasks. That is why the United States government continues to prioritize supporting Senegalese peacekeeping readiness through various training and equipping programs. Ambassador Rayner said that for many years, they have worked with the military commanders of Senegal to identify the equipment and training needs that the U.S. could provide to help Senegal in its efforts to send out peacekeeping forces around the world. In the past, initiatives have included building infrastructure at the National Training Center in Mont-Roland, which is nearby, delivering armored personnel carriers to the training center in Nice, and providing instruction and tools to advance counter-improvement capabilities. The United States anticipates the opening of a new multipurpose classroom building and warehouse at the Tactical Training Center in Daji later this year, as well as the installation of new marksmanship shooting simulators at the Capitaine Mbe Diagny Tactical Training Center and the Tactical Training Center in Tawakala. The U.S. ambassador insisted that they hoped that the 10 Mitsubishi cargo trucks, 15 Land Cruisers, and 5 Hiluxes would help the peacekeeping training centers to continue delivering top-quality professional training to the Senegalese military. He equally hoped that these vehicles serve as symbols of their lasting partnership with the Senegalese military, which they hold in their highest regard. The United States counts Senegal as a critical strategic partner, one that they value and are proud to work with. The ambassador went further to say that it was unfortunate that there was so much need for peacekeeping contingents in the world today, but they were, however, going to face new threats together because together they were stronger. We can see how the United States is serious about its will to work with the Senegalese military. Bassirou is willing to work too and is giving it his full concern. President Faye has already begun with the change that was needed. Note that last month, Bassirou called for a rethought relationship with the European Union during a visit by European Council President Charles Michel. April 2 marked Faye's inauguration as president. He was elected on a platform of drastic change and the restoration of national sovereignty over important sectors. Though Faye acknowledges that Senegal's relationship with Europe is complex and multidimensional, he is hoping for a redesigned and rethought cooperation that would be able to support the innovative dynamic they want to imprint on their relations. He made this statement at a joint press conference with Mitchell on April 22. Senegal now benefits from preferential trade arrangements with the EU, as well as special trade facilitation and trade integration initiatives. Senegalese exports to the EU are duty-free and not subject to volume restrictions under the Everything But Arms system, the most benevolent regime under the European Generalized System of Preferences. Additionally, Senegal and the EU adopted a Sustainable Fisheries Partnership Agreement in November 2014, which is renewed every 2 years. Senegal's new government wants to boost national ownership of its resources and lessen the country's reliance on foreign countries, particularly France. According to Senegal's finance minister, the country intends to pursue stronger bilateral and multilateral relationships while simultaneously severing its links to dependence on its public policies. As a participant in the West African Economic and Monetary Union, Senegal seeks to gain more authority for its central bank. The resumption of relations between Senegal and the EU may have some consequences. It suggests that Senegal wants to change the way it interacts with the EU, maybe to find more prospects for cooperation or better economic circumstances. The focus on restoring national sovereignty over significant industries may indicate a desire for greater control over financial resources and decision-making processes. Senegal's goal of strengthening its own economic and governance strategies while reducing its dependency on foreign governments is also consistent with the movement toward reform and autonomy. However, it is clear that Senegal wants to strengthen ties with the United States. Trade agreements will be affected by the reset in accordance with the particular measures and regulations put in place. Trade agreements facilitate investment, trade, and the flow of goods and services between countries by lowering trade obstacles and establishing trade laws. They can benefit customers, advance the economy, and provide opportunities for businesses. The benefits of free trade agreements include increased product access, market competitiveness, economies of scale, and innovation. Note that as part of Faye's promised changes, he has renegotiated contracts for oil and gas, and he plans to do the same with agreements on fishing with the European Union. Senegal's recently appointed Minister of Mines and Energy announced early last month that, should a promised audit be finished, the government would renegotiate contracts related to mining, oil, and gas. The approach contrasts with that of Faye's predecessor, Macky Sall, who took a more pro-investor position but was unable to lower Senegal's soaring cost of living or create enough employment with his ambitious plans centered on infrastructure. However, politicians and business analysts have advised Senegal's new president against renegotiating mining and oil contracts. Senegal's former president, Macky Sall, even told a news agency that this decision to renegotiate mining contracts could come with consequences. On April 11, Faye announced through his Minister of Mines and Energy, Birame Souleye Diapan, that the government would, if necessary, renegotiate contracts pertaining to mining, oil, and gas after the expected audit was over. The concern stems from the potential impact on investment and future partnerships. Certain experts say that the renegotiation may discourage investors because of unpredictability and possible modifications to the contract provisions. This might have an impact on Senegal's mining and oil industry's growth. However, Faye is committed to seeing this through. President Bassirou made a commitment to put the welfare of the local population first as part of his radical reform agenda. The goal of this contract renegotiation is to make sure that the advantages of these sectors are shared more fairly and have a good effect on the neighborhood. It should be noted that shortly after taking office, Bassirou gave his prime minister the order to create an action plan whose primary objective was to help the nation's collapsing economy and finances. It is also important to note that Senegal's ambitions to become an oil producer, as well as the country's oil and gas industry, could be significantly impacted by the outcomes of these negotiations. The details of how the contracts will be reorganized have not been made public, but the government wants to ensure that they are in the best interests of the country. The terms and conditions, income sharing, and other clauses in the contracts may change as a result. Senegal's oil and mining contract renegotiation has been labeled as risky because of possible obstacles and ambiguity. Despite the nation's objectives of optimizing economic gains and distributing resources fairly, renegotiations include some inherent dangers. The government must find a careful balance because contract talks are difficult and the mining and oil industries are unstable. This should also be the case with the United States. The government must look for means to come up with good contracts. The United States' kind donation of 30 brand new cars to the Senegalese armed forces is definitely a critical turning point in the two countries' cooperation. It strengthens the close partnership between Senegal and the United States while also demonstrating the latter's dedication to aiding the former nation's security and defense operations. The Senegalese armed forces will surely be able to respond to security threats and guard the nation's borders with more efficiency thanks to the new vehicles. The United States' appreciation of Senegal's importance as a crucial ally in fostering regional security and thwarting terrorism is demonstrated by this grant. The Senegalese armed forces will be better able to defend their country's sovereignty and promote regional peace and security with these modern vehicles. Senegal's military prowess is enhanced by American assistance, which also increases bilateral connections and respect between the two countries. This deed of kindness highlights the value of cooperation in tackling issues related to global security and provides a great model for international collaborations. Through these endeavors, Senegal and the United States will try to construct a future that is both safer and more affluent for both countries and the global community. Do you believe Senegal will choose to remain a U.S. ally over finding new ones? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Do not forget to like this video and subscribe to the New Tourist channel. Turn on notifications too so you get notified whenever we upload videos like this. Thanks for watching and see you in our next video.